Now here though the agreement, though the contract of supply is made between Mr. A and head office of Messrs. X Limited, but supply is actually made, transfer of property of the goods is actually not made between them. As per the direction of the Messrs. X Limited, that means as per the direction of the head office of Messrs. X Limited, the supply is made to the branch office of X Limited. Now the question is whether it is to be treated as supply or sale of goods or not. Here, though the transfer is made to the branch office of Messrs. X Limited, here Mr. A is liable to pay GST on the consideration received from Messrs. X Limited head office, because the transfer of property is made. It is made against some consideration, though the property is not transferred to the person on which the invoice is issued, but as per the direction of that person, the property of the goods is transferred to a third person. So it is also to be taken as sale. So here it is also to be treated as taxable event. Now the next point is that transfer. First was the sale, next point is that the transfer. All these items are to be included in supply, but we need the clarification of each and every one. Now second point is that transfer. What is transfer? Now the term transfer means whether the ownership may not be transferred, but right in the goods is transferred. Property of the goods may not be transferred, but right in the goods is transferred. That is called transfer. So transfer, there is a difference between sale and transfer. Where in sale, the property of the goods is transferred against some consideration, but in case of transfer, ownership may not be transferred, but right in the goods is transferred. For example, Mr. A is the owner of the Xerox machine, owner of a Xerox machine. He transferred the right to operate the Xerox machine to Mr. B for a consideration of rupees 10,000 per month for 4 months. Here Mr. A is the owner of the Xerox machine, and he transferred the right to operate the Xerox machine to Mr. B for a consideration of rupees 10,000 per month. Hence ownership of the machine is not transferred, but right to use the machine is transferred. So it is to be treated as supply, and GST is leviable on that item also. Now next number 3 is the barter. What is barter? Now here barter means exchange of the goods and productive services for other goods and productive services without the use of money. I repeat again, the barter means the exchange of the goods and productive services for other goods and productive services without use of money. That is, it means exchange of goods and productive services against some other goods and services, but without the use of money. For example, if a chartered accountant provide services to any company to any dealer of laptop named Messrs. A Limited, and in respect of the service that is provided by the chartered accountant named Mr. C, the dealer of the laptop, that means Messrs. A Limited, provide him 2 laptops. I repeat again, here the supplier of the service is Mr. C, that is the chartered accountant. He providing his service for preparation of books of accounts, auditing of the books of accounts, processing of the return. This is the service that is being provided by chartered accountant Mr. C for Messrs. A Limited, who is the dealer of the laptop. Now against these services, Messrs. A Limited does not pay any money to Mr. C, but Messrs. A Limited paid 2 laptops to Mr. C for his services. Now here two-way supply taken places. Mr. C is making taxable supply of services to Messrs. A Limited, is making taxable supply of goods, hence tax is payable by both. That means Mr. C is providing the service of accounts work, auditing work, return filing, etc. to Messrs. A Limited. This is the service that is provided by chartered accountant Mr. C to Messrs. A Limited, for which Mr. C has to issue an invoice against Messrs. A Limited, and against such invoices Mr. A received 2 laptops from Messrs. A Limited. So there is a non-monetary consideration, but since it is a supply of services against consideration, though it is not in monetary term, but it is to be taken as the taxable event, and for which Mr. C is liable to pay GST. Now on the other hand, Messrs. A Limited does not pay any monetary amount to Mr. C, but in respect of the supply, in respect of the services that is being provided by Mr. C, Mr. A paid Mr. A transferred him 2 laptops. Here Mr. A here Messrs. A Limited making deemed sale of laptop to Mr. C, that means the chartered accountant. Since the property of the goods is transferred from Messrs. A Limited to Mr. C, it is to be taken as sale. So it is also a taxable event, and it is taxable in the hands of Messrs. A Limited. So it is a two-way supply that is taken places, and here both Mr. C and Messrs. A Limited is liable to pay tax on this transaction. So this is the example of the barter. Another example is there. Mr. X, a dealer in laptop, he supplied a laptop of rupees 40,000 to Messrs. Y along with a barter of printer. Along with a barter of printer. The value of the printer known at the time of supply is 4,000, but the open market value of the laptop is not known. The value of the supply of the laptop is rupees 44,000. Hence, Mr. X is liable to pay GST on rupees 44,000, and at the same time Mr. Y is also liable to pay GST on rupees 4,000 if he is a registered person. Now, it needs some clarification. Mr. X is a dealer in laptop. He supplied a laptop of rupees 40,000 to Mr. Y along with a buttered up printer. The value of the printer known at the time of supply, and it is the value of the printer is rupees 4,000, but the open market value of the laptop is not known. The value of the supply of the laptop here is to be taken as 40,000 plus 4,000, that is 44,000. Hence, Mr. X is liable to pay GST on rupees 44,000 since the barter agreement is there. Mr. X supplied laptop of rupees 40,000 to Mr. Y along with a barter of printer, and the value of printer at the time of supply is rupees 4,000. So here, total value of the supply of laptop along with the printer is rupees 44,000, and Mr. X is liable to pay GST on total amount of rupees 44,000, and at the same time Mr. Y is also making supply of printer to Mr. X, the dealer of the laptop. From the viewpoint of the Mr. Y, though it is a barter, but he is making dim sale of the printer to Mr. X. So from the viewpoint of the Mr. Y, it is a sale, dim sale, on which Mr. Y is also liable for paying tax. So here also two-way supply take place. Whenever the barter agreement is there, two-way supply is there, and here GST is to be paid by both the parties on the amount of the respective consideration. Now,